Yes.
I have a question on Vedas. If we say the starting of the Vedas, the beginning has the mantra bhag in which they offer hymns to the nature. So how do we, and in the end it is the Upanishads. How do we take these things?
Okay. So, very good question, but there is a presumption in that the mantras and the nature. So, what really a Veda? Let's go to the root. So, Ved comes from the word vid, which is knowledge. Knowledge, okay. So, Veda is the vast compendium of knowledge. So, in Veda, there are many, many aspects. So, it includes nature, it includes supernature, includes deities, it includes earthly fruits, includes otherworldly fruits, and it includes the highest fruit, which is freedom from ignorance. So, Veda is like something which has given you all the things. So, it is normally divided into these two aspects. One where the Vedic thought or the Vedic processes move within the framework of creation. So, there are mantras to please certain deities who will give you certain fruits. There are rituals, karma kanda, which you do, you will get certain results. So, this entire thing where, the focus is on all the things within the realm of this creation, that is called as either through karma kanda. Through karma kanda, it is called as mimansa, where you have rituals. And through other means, it's not only through karma kanda, but yet within this framework, it is also sometimes referred to as Vedavada, which Shri Krishna uses in that sense. Okay. But the Vedas don't only talk about it. Vedas also say that there is the highest fruit of all, the greatest gain, and that is moksha. So this part is known as Jnana Kanda. So Upanishads take up the Jnana Kanda part of the Vedas, and the Mimamsa, it takes up the Karma Kanda part of the Veda. Why do the Vedas do that? Why didn't the rishis only tell you straight away about the highest? Which is where Upanishads made a mistake. Why did they do it? Because all men are not ready for the highest. So there were four goals placed before human beings: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Nothing was denied, but everything was seen as a preparation for the next. Because you can't take a leap. Somebody, for example, today someone was telling me, there was talk about ritualistic marks, means Sikh and others. And I said, see, as long as religion is dilly-dallying with these things, it's very far from truth. So to justify, the person said suddenly, yeah, we look at it like, when you enter a school, you are a student, you need a uniform. It's a sign that you are in the class. So I said, yes, so long as you are in kindergarten and primary, you need that. But in college, you get rid of the uniform because you know that the purpose is education and not the uniform for the sake of the uniform. You understand the difference? But in early stages, probably man needs it. He needs something very external. So, Vedas, the Indian civilization did not take away that. It always knew that you have to transcend the chabi, the murti exists not only physically but also as a image in the mind. You have to ultimately transcend and get to the reality that it represents. But it did not do like prematurely taking away these supports, because then you collapse. You build your own, So it kept the place of the scripture, but always knew God is greater than the scripture. Supposing Shri Krishna is in front of you, and this is the Gita, you can choose one. Tell me, can there be two answers? Sure, no. If somebody still chooses the book, what will you call him? Fool, no? Sure? I would also say the same thing. If Krishna is not there, okay, you have no choice but the scripture, read it. So the Gita also says, Shabd Brahma Ati Vartate. Go beyond the scripture. So we have the scripture and we ask man to go beyond the scripture. This is not to say scripture has no value. It has a value till you have found God. When you have found the source of all knowledge, then do you still need the book? No. So Vedas have within them this something very interesting, that they are a help. Mantra, all these are help. But when you have actually found the source of light, then you don't need a lamp which you needed to walk in the forest. When you are in the forest, you need a lamp. Okay? But when you are in the sunlight, if you are still carrying the book by the arm and quoting it, and you say, Sir, please, have you really found the sun? That's how Indian thought, the Vedas have given a whole panorama. Yeah.
But that ritualistic approach, the karma kand, is it not totally on the belief system that if I'll offer this, then such
Okay.
will happen. If I worship Indra, then
Yeah. So, what is Karma Kand? Now we come to that. Okay. Karma Kand is not belief system. Karma Kand is based on a very elaborate occult knowledge. So, what does it mean? If I need to get my more marks in history, I need to please my history teacher. Okay? If I need marks in geography, then I need to go to the geography teacher. Maybe history teacher may be friendly with the geography teacher and may say, yaar, pass kar do isko. Okay? So this way, there are cosmic deities. Who are these gods? The gods are cosmic forces, cosmic managers if you like, which is only natural that if, see, religions which did away with the gods and goddesses, they created a gulf between the one supreme and creation as it is. I'll tell you how. So we say God is within everybody, God is, every religion talks about it. And then we talk of creation. Now creation has a lot of rubbish to our common eye. It has a lot of evil. It has things which you imagine should not be there. So how did this happen? God is all good. So it is said that it's, God created this world perfect, man made it imperfect. And who created man? Who will end up making things, messing up things? So because we have taken away all the links in between, so all religions which have done away with the gods have created a big gulf between God and creation, creator and creation. So the only thing is you have to worship, and if the creator is pleased, he will lift you out, which is okay, fair enough. But how to understand this creation? So who are the gods? Gods are powers and aspects of the one reality. And from there, many sub-gods have emerged to govern each aspect. Let me take an example. Now, human mind has, or let's talk about the body. There is the heart, okay? There is the brain, and there is the stomach or the digestive system, okay? All these three work in different ways. So, heart has its own elaborate circulatory system which is connected with it. It must pump blood to every organ. Brain, nervous system, which through all the channels of nerves. The digestive system through the intestine, canal, stomach, esophagus, entire system. So each of them is governed by millions of processes. And a little displacement of one process elsewhere can create chaos. So in abdomen, in the stomach, there is hydrochloric acid. Now if you pour hydrochloric acid in the nerves, they will die. So similarly in this creation, there are billions of processes. Behind each process, there is a force. Behind each of the forces, there is a hub. Like there are million processes acting in the digestive system. And there would be the regulation of the digestive system by a group of nerves and a group of muscles. And then they will go back to the circulatory system which is feeding it. And then this will go back to the feeder organ, the brain, and so on and so forth. Something in a very similar, and all this has to work very harmoniously. That there are three main aspects of creation: preservation, and destruction. And in all of them, there has to be something which keeps us tied to creation is delight, ananda, satchidananda. These are the four main aspects. Sat, Chit, Tapas, Ananda. And then these are the four main gods: Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh and Krishna. And then you see there are many little gods. Chinna gods. So you have, for instance, Shiva. Okay? Shiva with Vasuki. But then if somebody has a snake bite or mental illness because of some hostile attack, so where will the person go? Shiva is in his trance, masti mein. He'll go to Manasa Devi. Heard about Manasa Devi? Manasa Devi is also Shiva's daughter, but she has embodied all his fears, that poisonous, venomous aspect. So there are processes in creation, there are small little entities, forces, energies, and it was a very elaborate study, understanding, occult revelation through which they discovered what are the forces operating in this creation and the beings that are connected with that force. And they knew how to literally now, why mantra? They knew how the mantra can tie up or entice this force. I'll give you very interesting. How does the mantra operate? This is a very practical way. If you have to go and there are different kinds of teachers and you want to get something done. So there are people to whom you have to say, Bhaiya, kar dena na. Huh? Please do it for me. He will do it. But there is another kind of person where you go and say, please do it for me. He'll say, go, stand in the queue. But if you say, see, look here. Okay, he will look at you, literally look at you. This I am asking, this is my right. You are not doing a favor to me. Okay, sir, give me the paper. Now, third person, you'll say, look here, the minister has sent me. Sir, please come in front. Okay? So, what has happened? There is a whole system of symbols, sound, visual, through which these forces and energies respond. They had made an elaborate study. When you are faced with a snake, you have to respond differently. When you are faced with a lion, differently. Dog, differently. Cat, differently. So there is a whole elaborate system. They studied first all the forces and beings, and then how to really bring them to listen to you. This was a very elaborate knowledge. Of course, this elaborate knowledge was not the highest knowledge. Highest knowledge was to know that the master of existence, the mother of gods and the titans, the supreme, that is within us. Somebody who realized it didn't need any of these processes. Because then all that you had to do was to go, wherever you go, you have a super VIP pass. You are carrying a plate here. Bhagwan ka hai. Okay, like Prahlad doesn't know any mantras, no? He only knows one mantra. Hari, 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Hari, Hari, Hari. So he is given a free pass. The snakes run away from him. When he falls from the chatan, he's protected. Why? Because he has learned the master mantra. So there are mantras which can put you in contact with the highest, and there are mantras which are meant to please the lesser deities. Pleasing the lesser deities is obviously easier. It's far more difficult to connect with the highest and much more easier. So if your job is only, I am interested in getting my nala repaired, then you contact the local MLA. You don't need to contact the Prime Minister. So there was a whole elaborate science behind Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda was not belief. It turned into a belief because people lost that occult sense. Now, yes, I agree. Many people just use it mechanically. Many don't have the occult sense, so it doesn't work the way it used to work earlier. But now we have, fortunately, the yoga to connect with the Supreme. So we can do away with this. But equally, those who do it perfectly, they are well within their rights to do it.
But if it deals with the nature, so then science should have a clear understanding of it. But
Yeah, science. I'll tell you, science is moving toward that. Right, good question. How does science? Science, very interestingly, is moving towards it without saying that. Okay, I'll tell you how. Science has, for example, discovered the effect of certain lights and certain sounds on creation. Okay, on crystallography, on things. It has discovered there is a whole science of sound. For instance, you can use sounds to destroy the stone inside the kidney. Even laser surgery is there. Through certain sounds, if you resonated with it, every object has a certain frequency. If you resonated with the frequency of that object, you can destroy a bridge. You know the weapons, unfortunately, it has been used now for the worst things. So there are weapons which purely by pulsation, I hope you are aware of it, in half an hour, a whole city can be destroyed, you won't even hear a bang. There are just 4 countries, as far as I know, which have it. And I am given to understand India has that too. It just requires a satellite from where you send a pulsation. You don't need to explode anything. How does it help? How does it work? It works the same way. So, equally, sounds can create. We know, for example, that music can heal. How does music heal? Music heals because all illness is a disharmony. What does music do? It creates a state of harmony inside. So, this knowledge has started in science with far reaching implications. But because right now our science is still heavily loaded with this assumption or belief, scientific belief, okay, sounds very strange, that material reality is the only reality. That's why it is unable to explore deeper, but it will enter into that. So this is millennium, tens of thousands of years of research. Our modern science is hardly about, even if you take from Aristotle and Plato, which is still far, maybe much later than that. If you take Copernicus, Galileo, all these, few hundred years, that's it. Socrates is 2000, but otherwise few hundred years. So it's very child infancy, but already it is showing that. You just wait and see. You'll see that within few decades, this will fuse with the Vedic knowledge. They need not call it mantra. You see, we have turned everything into sacred. Why? Because we want to preserve it. And it's a beautiful thing because these formulas cannot be given to anyone and everyone. So when it is said that when we used to enter the operation theatre as a young doctor, it was so, it's like a ritual. So when we were, first time I entered the operation theatre, it's so nice, you get a feel, it's some special place. Sir, chappal bahar chhol do. Fir dusra chappal, you wear another chappal. That chappal also you have to open after a point. Then you go inside, you can't walk in. Sir, go here. Then you will wash your hands. There is a way. You wash it like this. You can't wash like this, because the water will drip here. Then somebody will give you the towel. I'm just telling you the rituals of science. Then you wash it, you throw it, and then you wear the gloves. There is a technique to wear the gloves because you may touch it on the surface. So they are folded in this way, and you pull that part which will go inside. I'm just explaining to you, okay, the right size of glove. Then somebody will put the coat inside. By the time you go inside, you feel like a priest. Okay. So this ritual, if somebody doesn't know, will think it is just a ritual. We also felt, "Arey, idhar kya hai yaar itna karne ka?" But slowly you understand its meaning. So that way, now how do you preserve it? In science, in OT, it will be very strict, by strict discipline. Somebody will tell you, you can't step inside. Even if you are a big man, you won't be allowed to step inside because it will threaten the whole OT. So we have preserved it by the sense of the sacred because it's dealing with things of that nature. You can't enter an X-ray, even an X-ray area without wearing a kind of coat because it's risky. You may be exposed to the radiation. You get the point? So it has been preserved in a certain way which was necessary. हाथ धो के आइए, आप कौन है जजमान, आपको आता है. Otherwise you'll sit there, smoke, and you don't know these forces when they come into play, what kind of havoc they may create on a person who is not ready. Okay.
So can we say that under the pressure of supermind, so the Adi Bhautik and Adi Bhautik and Adi Deivik, they're coming closer to...
Yes, of course. For children to understand there are different levels, Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adhyatmik. Okay. Yes, they have to come closer together because ultimately they are 3 layers of one reality, or in fact, Mother has spoken so much about it, but that may be going into a kind of depth. It's like the serpent biting its own tail. So through matter you can touch the highest if you go it. But obviously it's a long way. It's not instantly. Anything, science requires a lot of patience, art requires a lot of patience. Yes.
So we were talking about Vedas. So can we say that Vedas are like a journey? It started from the material level, from the lower level, if we can say, and then it moves to the higher council.
Okay, Vedas is a journey. Well, it touches upon many aspects, but two fundamental aspects. One is that Vedas is a journey which starts from nature worship. This is one of the theories that they started with nature worship and then they went deeper and deeper. It doesn't seem likely because the theory is based on certain reference to very material things like cow and horse and stars and sun and moon. But if you look at the Vedic rishis and their language in totality, they are very profound beings. In all likelihood, they were evolutionary beings who had discovered the way. And they also say that we have learnt it from our forefathers. So, Vedas, what we today call as the written Vedas, is also owes itself to something which antedates the Vedas. Okay, so we really don't know where it all began. But one thing we can say with certainty, it began with quest. And given if, let's say, if I am caught in the jungle and I don't know anything about anything, probably my quest will be many-sided. There will be an immediate quest to understand my world around, but also a quest to understand myself around. If I don't know who am I don't know I am human, what does it mean to be a human? So my own impression is when I look at the Vedas, that it was a multi-layered quest at the same time. So you have many rishis, each coming with his own discoveries in his own way. So it was not a uniform quest. There were some at that point of time, like today also you see. There are people who are interested in physics, who want to understand material world. There are people who want to understand the highest reality. So something very similar happened in the Vedas. That's why many things, some went into, healing sciences, Pushpa Ayurveda, Vraksha Ayurveda. Of course, Ayurveda is later science, but surely its roots are in the Vedas. There are Upvedas. Some wanted to understand the movement of the stars, astrology. So it's not like one came first and the other later. In all likelihood, this quest began in the human heart, and there were people who were involutionary beings, means they were sent upon earth to facilitate this journey. So probably it was a multi-layered quest and it encompassed all. But there is another way to look at it, the journey part. That is everything that we shall ever find in this creation compiled fully there in the Vedas. That I believe we should not do that, because if we do that, we are making three errors. One error is that we are believing that all the mantras have been found. We can't say that, okay, number one. Second is, where is Veda written? Where did God write it? In creation. The whole creation is knowledge. Everything is knowledge. So you can't say that the Vedic mantras have exhausted all the knowledge in the creation. Second. Third, if we still say no, everything is only in the Vedas, then we are discrediting all the later scriptures, and we are doing the same error that the mullah does when he says that, hamari ek kitab mein sab likha hai. It cannot be. You cannot, as I said, the divine infinite is greater than the scripture. So no scripture of the world can claim that it has revealed everything about the infinite. And the Vedas itself say that. The Isha Upanishad speaks about it. Avigyatam vijanata, vigyatam vijanata. Then it says, Yasmin vigyate vigyati sarvam. By knowing it, all can be known. Yan manasana manute yenahur manomatam. So Vedas show you the way towards tapping into that source. But they don't claim that whatever is in that source we have discovered and written, now you don't need to. So, as a journey, I agree, it started with Vedas, where many fundamental truths have been revealed to man. It went on to the age of the Upanishad, which are basically culled out largely from the Vedas. Many things have been added later, Aryanyak, Brahmanas, and many such things. But then you see, Gita brings something totally new, which is hinted in the Veda, but not developed. You have worship in the Vedas, in the Karma. But you don't have devotion and that fervor of God love and giving yourself to God. It's not there. So did Krishna bring out something which is not in the Vedas and therefore is it Avedic? No. Even Buddha, for that matter, he goes beyond all forms. Now there are people who call him Avedic, but yet he is accepted. The Puranas bring out an aesthetic side of whole, an intimate, many-sided relation with God which you don't find. And of course now, the Tantra, everything is there in a seed form. And of course now Sri Aurobindo brings something still further. So we should not look upon Vedas as the first and the last book ever where all is revealed. Vedas are more like books that open doors to infinite knowledge through different passages. But the revelations of that knowledge, they have not stopped, they will not stop. And in ages to come, there would be many more revelation which you won't find literally written in the passages of the Vedas. So in that sense, we should look at it as a evolutionary journey from the Vedas to, for the moment, Sri Aurobindo. Okay.
So we can say quest for the integral truth.
Yes, quest for the integral truth. Quest. With many findings, but not stopped. Can't put a finish. In fact, the moment one says that I have found, one should be very careful.
Yes, boss.
You can't fix knowledge into any word, thought, structure, mantra, understanding, system, theory, philosophy, belief, nothing. It is infinite. If nothing else, it will disclose itself differently at different points of time. The same Veda may reveal itself through the lips of a child. What prevents the divine to disclose himself through the babble of a child? So Veda are doors to infinity, not belief systems, not fixed and not closed-ended search. That's the beauty of the Vedas, that they are open-ended. So it makes life so beautiful.